It's Thursday, July 11. Good afternoon. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. A special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Senior attorneys at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, are now reviewing documents relating to corruption allegations involving former Education Minister Ruel Reid. Yesterday evening, DPP Paula Llewellyn told our news center that her office was contacted by the Financial Investigations Division, FID, several months ago in relation to the probe. Ms. Llewellyn says at the time she assigned 2 senior prosecutors to the case.
I was requested to give assistance in respect of guidance in the assessment of the material that there was so far, and I proceeded to assign 2 very senior prosecutors to be available to the investigative team. And so far, to my certain knowledge, based on reports to me, there has been intermittent provision of documentary material.
However, Ms. Llewellyn says she has had to add 2 more attorneys to the team based on the number of documents received since last week. The team is now assessing the material received so far to decide on a ruling.
The matter has been increased to 4 prosecutors, and to my certain knowledge, they are in the process of completing a detailed legal opinion indicating the assessment they have made of all the material that they have been provided with in the matter.
Mr. Reid was asked to resign on March 20 amid allegations of corruption at the Ministry of Education and several entities falling under his remit. Embattled former Education Minister Ruel Reid yesterday resigned as Jamaica Labour Party caretaker for St. Ann Northwestern constituency. This was confirmed by JLP General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang. He told TVJ News that he received a WhatsApp message from Mr. Reid yesterday stating his intention to step aside. The JLP General Secretary said the decision was accepted. Up to late yesterday evening, Dr. Chang said he was waiting for Mr. Reid's resignation letter. President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS, Lenworth Fulton, is calling for the revival of Jamaica's railway service. Mr. Fulton believes the railway system can help to maintain food security across the island by reducing the cost of transportation for farmers. He was speaking at the Society's 124th Annual General Meeting in Clarendon on Wednesday.
And food security means more than just food. It is also the means how to get food to you competitively. There's a rail system that passes through Denby and the high-producing areas of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Clarendon. This is needed just like how fertilizer enhances the agricultural production. We need transportation to enhance agricultural development. We are therefore lobbying strongly for the rail system and the removal from the roadways of heavy trucks.
He also praised the timeliness of the Vernam Field Development Project, which is scheduled to be completed before the end of this year.
The planned development of the Vernam Field would allow us to reach 1.6 billion consumers worldwide. In fact, this Vernam Field development is timely, knowing that our 2 international airports are at possible threat by climate change. An article written by Max Fisher 2013 lists Kingston as one of the cities.
In the meantime, Mr. Fulton says there are development plans underway for the Denby property in Clarendon. He says the plans are geared towards transforming the agricultural sector to match world-class standards. He outlined some of those plans.
We have engaged a high-power team to work with JS on how we would develop Denby. The 2 major plans include securing the showground and converting the other portion of lands into an agricultural industrial setting or an educational scientific park, probably a combination of both. We have begun the transformation with an Aki processing plant to the east of here on the same property. And DRIP Isratec is placed in a permanent establishment and the property, and other business will follow. We also install world-class security arrangement on the ground.
The government says micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, can expect access to more capital in the near future. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark reiterated his announcement of the Collaborative Investment Fund being provided for MSMEs. Dr. Clark was speaking at the Mona School of Business Conference in Kingston. We have more in this report. And we do apologize for the absence of the audio on that story, but we now take a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us. We have more stories after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the news. Hundreds turned out this morning at an anti-corruption vigil put on by the People's National Party, PNP, in Mandela Park, Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. The party says this is the start of a series of such events across the island. TVJ's Anthony Love was there and filed this report.
PNP supporters expressed frustration and held placards in taking a stance against allegations of corruption across several ministries and public bodies under the Andrew Holness-led administration on Thursday morning.
And the Jamaican people must realize and understand now that the Labour right government is for the rich people. We can't take this anymore. This is out of it.
Well, government depends on people support. So we're trying to organize people support against the criminality and against the thievery. And then the government should respond positively to end some of this.
The party says the vigil is the first part in a series of events across the island to bring awareness to what it terms the brazen plundering of the public purse by members of the political executives and their operatives who are yet to be brought to book. PNP Vice President Mikhail Phillips argues that the Prime Minister has failed to take appropriate action to hold his members accountable.
We are going to continue to shout it from the streets, shout it from the rooftops, shout it from the communities until the corrupt behavior, which involves the misuse and plundering of the people's resources, stops.
Prime Minister at least need to indicate to the country, to the world, to our partners, that his government is against corruption. We have not gotten that from Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister. And we think that at least restore some confidence in the people of Jamaica, that corruption is not something that we will tolerate.
The Caribbean Maritime University has been the center of controversy in recent months following stinging revelations on how some funds were used. Already, Ruel Reid has been sacked, but for opposition spokesman on education Ronald Thwaites,
regretfully, first of all, the board of the Caribbean Maritime University has to give way. After that, it seems to me that there has to be a completion of the investigation by the various agencies, and the Prime Minister has to give a full report to Parliament, subject himself to questions so that we can understand all of the ramifications, let the law take its course.
We also expect that there will be commissions of inquiry established to look particularly at what has occurred in the Ministry of Education, in the Caribbean Maritime University, and in the National Education Trust.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
One man is dead while another was injured following a two-vehicle collision on the ARG Byfield Highway in St. Anne's Bay, St. Anne on Tuesday. Dead is 31-year-old Orlando Watkins, a security officer of Lower Boxton near Brownstown in the parish. It's reported that about 2:20 in the afternoon, Mr. Watkins was driving his Mazda motor car towards Runaway Bay when it is alleged that he drifted into the right side of the road and slammed into an oncoming Nissan Urban panel van with two passengers on board. Mr. Watkins was seriously injured and was rushed to the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital, where he died while undergoing treatment. The driver of the Nissan received treatment for minor injuries and was released. The other passenger was not hurt. Mr. Watkins was alone in his car. Jamaica Labour Party councillors in Portmore St. Catherine are this afternoon livid following the misplacement of a condolence book for former Prime Minister Edward Seaga. It was one of the major issues discussed last evening at the monthly meeting of the Portmore Municipal Corporation. Councillor for the Gregory Park Division, Joy Brown, is questioning how the book could have gone missing.
I was the last person to sign that book. The door was closed to the public because I signed that book between 4 and 5 o'clock after the door closed to the public.
So that make you number one suspect.
Me say, oh no, me can't believe. Say somebody that thief one book. Because it's nearly over 3 weeks now. So what about the surveillance camera? It's not working? It could be anything else.
To the steps to locate the book, Portmore's Mayor, Leon Thomas, says an investigation has been launched internally.
I know that the Chief Administrative Manager was carrying out some investigation.
Well, I never heard about that.
So, we will have further discussion on the matter in regarding to it. And as soon as we come to some conclusion, then we will let you know what it is.
I'm going to give a report.
Yes.
Because I know who I left here, and I know who I came back and saw here.
Following the recent triple shooting in Devon, Manchester, which left one man dead, at least one resident is urging the police to connect more with the community and explore the use of modern technology. Now, in the recent murder in Devon, 3 men reportedly went to purchase a motor vehicle but were lured to another location. It's reported that men traveling in a Nissan Tida motor car subsequently pounced on them and shot all 3 men. Justice of the Peace Gary Rowe says the increase in murders in the parish is a cause for concern. He's therefore imploring persons within the parish, including the business community, to support the police in their fight against crime. The government says, we now go back to a previous story. He says the micro, small and medium enterprise, MSMEs, can expect access to more capital in the future. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark reiterated his announcement of the Collaborative Investment Fund being provided for MSMEs. We have more in this report.
We're going to have a sidecar fund of just starting with 200 million Jamaican dollars that will match angel investors, dollar for dollar, on angel investments that they make. The government doesn't have the resources to do the search or the evaluation, and so what it will do is find as many angel networks as it can, 2, 3, 4, 5, and have MOUs with them that whatever they decide to support, the government will come in on the same terms on a 50-50 basis.
A quick look now at the latest in sports. England will be New Zealand's opponent in Sunday's final of the ICC World Cup after the host handed Australia an 8-wicket defeat at Edgbaston earlier today. Australia, batting first, was dismissed for 223 before England replied with 226 for 2. And of course, we'll have details on that in Primetime Sports later. Well, that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Remember, Primetime News is at 7. On behalf of the News Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.